Hey, Jeff Castaldo here, and usually I have an exercise tip for you, and this is going to be a shoveling exercise tip. We're going to talk about mechanics of throwing snow and some things to think about when you're moving the snow so you don't hurt yourself. And one thing that's important is that to recognize that shoveling snow is an intense activity, and that you should be mindful of preparing for it. So let's just talk about a couple exercises you could do in the beginning, or the warm-up, we'll call it, before you shovel snow. Here's a couple things you can do real quick with your shovel. So use the shovel, because we don't need to try to balance ourselves out here, and just hold on to it. And the first thing we could do is just hold on and push our hips away from the handle, right? So if you think like you're a machine, you push the arms away, the hips back. And we can do this a few times. Now, when we shovel snow, we don't want to incorporate too much arm movement, like protraction and reaching forward with the arm. So make sure your shoulder blades go with your hip, right? So my shoulder blades on the back of my body are moving with my hip, which is going that way, and the hands and the shovel are going in the other direction. Do a few of these. If you're feeling stiff as you go down, do a few more. You want to get into a pattern where you can almost rhythmically get down and up, feeling nice and comfortable. So just to get the back recognizing that it's going to be doing some work. And you can just kind of do these bending forward and rounding the back, and then coming back up and getting the back into a neutral alignment of the spine. So right, my shoulders are back, my chest is high, I got that nice little orthotic curve in my lower back, and then I'm just going to kind of start at my deck, roll down all the way until I feel that I've rolled everything, and then kind of bring it back up. Now, you're not trying to be aggressive. I'm not stretching here. I'm just kind of going down and then coming up. Okay, I'm pretty flexible, so I got pretty far. You don't have to go that far. You can kind of go so the shovel hits your knees and come up. The idea is that you're kind of creating a little bit of stress on those back muscles and pulling yourself into an upright position, getting these erector muscles to kind of fire up. Believe it or not, it's a little slippery. Your groin muscle could take a toll here. So again, using the shovel, you can kind of just put one foot out and move away your hip back and away from the straight leg, right? So I got one leg straight, I move my hip back and a little bit away, but not too far away where I'm kind of doing this kind of thing. I got my support leg that I'm squatting on is nice in a nice squat position back, right? And we can kind of do the same thing we did with the squats to get those inner thigh muscles going. Not a bad idea to get the shoulder blades going, so you could take the shovel and just hold on to it. Externally rotate your shovels. That means I'm going to pull my elbows towards my body, and I'm just going to kind of bring the shovel up and down. And as I do this, I'll go a little bit higher and higher. Notice that the rest of my body's not moving. That's super important. That's going to create some resistance on the shoulders, shoulder blades, and the mid-back, really, as I lift the shovel up. So I'm working the mid-back muscles here, right? I should feel the mid-back muscles. I'm not going to reach up overhead. That's going to stretch out the mid-back muscles and put them to sleep. Let's pull those shoulder blades down towards the hip like we did with the squat. And now, charged up, ready to shovel. So the first thing is there's different types of shovels, and you want one that you can get the best leverage with, and something, be careful at the edges here. Sometimes these edges bend, and they create, so your surface isn't flat that you're pushing against, and if you have one of these edges bent, it'll kind of catch all the time, and then that's really horrible for your body. So let's do it. So first thing is, we said we needed to get some leverage, which means that we want one hand back here, obviously, and one hand close to the shovel blade, relatively speaking. Like if you got really heavy snow, you want to get really close to it. If the snow's not so heavy, and you can manage the weight of it. You can pull away a little bit, but you definitely don't want to be back here. The leverage is going to be here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to step forward and get my center of mass over the snow load. So I'm not going to reach out here, I'm going to keep it right here. And then I'm going to move back here to put into the snow. Also, I'm not going to lower the shovel with my arms and shoulders and my back, right? I'm not going to go do this to reach down for it. I'm going to lower my hips to lower the blade, right? So I didn't move, I didn't reach with my shoulders or anything yet. I just went right down with my hips into a squat. So I'm going to wind up, and don't wind up too much either. We don't want to be torquing our backs. We want to kind of stay as neutral as we can with our rotation, not too much rotation. And so I'm just going to kind of drive my arm back. This arm's down here, lower the hips, I'm into the snow, and then I'm going to step in front of that center of mass, right? So if it's here, it's a little bit too close or too in front of me. And then as I push, I'm driving with my hips, right? Drive with the hips. And then I feel like this is pretty good. I had to move my back foot a little bit, and I'm going to stand up. And if I do it a little quicker, I can stand up, toss the snow. So I'm basically starting and finishing almost starting and finishing almost in the same spot, right? I'm at this 45-degree angle. My sidewalk is this way, my imaginary sidewalk. And I'm going to kind of rotate a little bit, drop the hips. Again, get your center of mass on top of the load, push into it. And then I'm kind of torqued up a little bit, a little rotated to the back side here. And as I stand up, I'm kind of unrotating, and there's a little bit of rotation, but it's not a lot. It's mostly just about moving the hips up and down, and with a speed and a force that can throw the snow. Again, I'm gonna squat down, kind of wind up a little bit. I'm really not like rotating the spine. I'm kind of like moving the whole I'm moving at the hip, so the hip is moving back with me, and I'm just kind of changing my angle of my squat, and then I step forward a little bit so I can get my center of mass over the load. Again, the load's not out here. This is going to be bad. Get right on top of the load, and then I'm basically just going to stand up and unwind. All right, not reaching with the shoulders. That's too much unless you gotta get it over the fence or something, or a little bit of direction with your shoulder. But again, the throw is from the hip, and then I can direct it if I need to, but I wouldn't recommend kind of directing out like this. Again, if the load gets caught, it pulls you down. All right, anyway, that's my little tip. Load the hips. You wind up first, get your center of mass over the load. Don't get that load too far in front of you. Shouldn't be in front of you really at all. And then depending on the weight, that's how far down my hand goes, right? Heavier loads down close. Lighter loads, if you think you can handle it without too much arm work, you can come up a little higher to save your legs. But it's a lot of legs, so maybe 5 shovels on one side, and then turn and go 5 shovels on the other side. Have a safe shoveling day.